See, it's a very good question because see, we like to think that as architects, our role is to come up with a beautiful design, which is functional, which is stimulating, which is path breaking, which is spatially very acceptable, and so on and so forth. We have a dream. But the two things that we fail to see is how do you actually translate it to the ground. That's number one. Number two, how sure are you that when you translate it to the ground, all your ideas that you have in your mind, if I do like this, the bedroom will be cool, but will it really be cool? Who has gone and done a survey like this? Has anybody done a survey? I have a lot of assumptions when I do the design. Then I do the design, finish it, occupants come and occupy it. Then I go back and verify whether my assumptions have been validated or not. It's not done at all. We have no idea whether, we think that, okay, they are happy and therefore our design must be successful. But there is no measure even to see whether you really succeeded in your intent or not. So these are the challenges that, in fact, these are things that are not, are open issues in architectural practice. Coming back to the main question, how do you handle a project? The first is, of course, you need a client because, you need a client with a requirement. So he has to do something. It could be a pharmaceutical company, it could be a hospital, it could be a library, or it could be the cinema theatre, or whatever he wants to build. He comes to you with certain ideas in his mind, certain requirements, and certain site plan kind of thing. Now, site plan you can't do anything. It's there, and you can't do much about it. And your also regulations are there, which are again there, which you can't do anything about it. All the setbacks and this and that is there. But what I find is the dialogue that we need to have with the client in the beginning is vitally important, because the client most of the people don't know what they actually want. They've got a vague idea. They've got a vague idea that it will be like this and all that. So if you have a good dialogue and try to translate it to objective way of spelling out the requirements, what do they want, what do they expect, and how do they interact, who are the players in that occupation of the building, how does each one interact, how do they come in, how do they go out, what circulation happens, and what kind of functions that happen, and what could aid or what could not aid that livability in that structure, is something the client cannot verbally tell you in the beginning. So collaboratively you have to pick up and make a brief. So that making the brief is a very important thing. And of course in some corporate clients you have a facility that you can make a brief and get it signed off. But in private dealings, you can't ask a fellow to sign. He will not sign. He'll say, நான் சொல்லிட்டேன், நான் இதுக்கு வேண்டியெல்லாம் சொல்லிட்டேன், நீ தான் ஆர்கிடெக்ட், நீ பண்ணி கொடு, யூ பண்ணி கொடு, இல்லாட்டா நான் வேற ஆள்கிட்ட போகிறேன். So that's the way it is. So at least we must get a good idea of what he wants. And of course the regulations, of course the limitations of soil, limitations of building materials, limitations of access, all this we have to solve. That's an architectural role. So the concept architect who works on this, a person or a team or something like that, there's a crucial stage where they have to really give a little shape, even tentative shape to whatever they're doing. It could be a shape in the sense in 3 dimensions. Not only just a 2D solution will not work. You must know how it operates in 3D and how it works together, how it fits together, and how it interacts with the streets, how it interacts with the outside areas, how does it climatically suit that site conditions. So these are all things that architect has to do. But this is at a concept level. So your interaction with other disciplines is a little limited. So you are therefore more or less left to your own. Except you may have some questions. Supposing you want a structure which is either very tall or which has got a very long span or something like that, you might like to consult an engineer at that stage. So if you have an available resource which can give you an input, understanding what you want, so you can give you also solutions. Supposing you have a long span, but you have a limitation on depth of beam. You can't put a deep beam because heights don't allow. So I want a flat beam, but I also want a long span. That engineer must be sensitive enough to tell you that these are the solutions. You can do A, B, C. But if he says categorically, no, you do this, you don't, then you are stuck. So whom you work with and whom you do. So you have to work with somebody at a minimal level at the beginning. But as the progress proceeds, See, after this it's approved, then you apply to corporation or to CMDA, whatever it is, get it approved, and then parallelly you have to also run a bill of quantities, you have to take specifications, you have to draw construction drawings, you have to draw, apart from the drawings that you prepare for CMDA, you have to prepare actual construction drawings. And the contractor will be using the drawing to build. It must carry all the details with this, levels and heights and openings, all that must be there. And that document should be comprehensive in the sense what you show in, even sometimes people make some very fundamental mistakes, oversights. What is shown in the plan is not shown in the section. It's a very common problem. If you look at the section, it shows something else, some other height, but in the plan it shows something else, and your joinery schedule shows something else. So you get confused about the whole thing. Then the contractor comes running to you. So what shall I do? So there are a lot of checks and balances required at this stage. Now at this stage is when architect has to work with other disciplines completely. So you must know, for instance, if you are building a multi-storied any kind of building, say office building or a hospital building. Now you must know hospital has got heavy services. So you must be able to work with electrical engineer, air conditioning engineer, firefighting engineer, then the medical science engineers who run the gas pipes and so on. So you must know, understand how they bring in, what is the requirement, what space requirement they want. If somebody wants, I want an AHU room, you must know what is the AHU zoning, what space he wants, what cutouts he wants to bring the pipes down and up, and what heights he wants for the duct, how does it fit in your overall height. So this comes at the detailing stage when you prepare the working drawing for the contractor. This kind of thing, integration has to happen. Then you cannot have structure interfering with something else. The structural engineer will give you a beam depth of so much, but the air conditioning engineer will assume that the beam is only this much, but in reality the beam is so much. So you can't take the duct underneath, then your height comes down. So these are all coordination issues. So the coordination with different disciplines and consultants or whatever it is very important before the drawings hit the site. That's one stage. So up to that delivery of your construction drawings to the site and with the specifications and the bill of quantities, the majority of our work is over. Then the project management really starts. It goes to the construction manager and he does the whole thing. But traditionally, it was the architect who was doing staying till the end. Traditionally, even today many small houses and so on, they don't know anything about project management, engineer and so on. But if you go to large projects, for instance, we did TCS, the Sri campus. There's a project manager. Project manager himself had some 3-4 disciplines internally. Apart from our own MEP team, their own MEP team will be there. Our quantity survey will be there. His quantity surveys will be there. So it's a full team. It's very organized, and therefore it goes through that way. So as the project becomes larger, you have to get better organized, and you have to, and planning of delivery of drawings, planning delivery of decisions is very, very crucial. So that skills that no school teaches you, that you have to learn on the job. And then during execution, quality checks. Of course, there are a lot of IS specifications, there are a lot of things, but quality checks is very important. Again, you cannot overlook. And as an architect, whatever you do as far as client may do for quality control with the project manager and so on, they finally expect the architect to say yes, it's built according to my drawings or not. You have to sign a statement saying this drawings have been built according to your requirement and specifications. That's a completion certificate that the architect has to issue. That brings the architect's contract to a closure. Okay, of course, defects liability period is there, that's a different issue. With this, your major job is over. So that job requires completely different skills than the initial part of it. So an architect has to be, multi-talented, really speaking. It's not that everybody is born with all this talent, but you must be able to assimilate all this. If you have a capacity to observe, talk to people, understand and assimilate and react, an architect learns. Therefore, the learning to learn to be an architect, proper, regular, functioning architect, it's a continuous process of learning. Not that, okay, I got a degree from a top college and I'm an architect. Yes, you are an architect, but you still have to learn. And learning process never stops. It's continuously, it just keeps going. And the more people you meet, the more things that you come to know, and so on. That's how it happens. And we have internally office coordination, no? Like you have different departments. Sometimes you have in-house, sometimes you don't have in-house, you engage a consultant. And there are benefits and not many benefits are also there. So it's a teamwork, complete teamwork. But the architect is at the top. He has to take the final call. Yes or no is from the architect. Because an air conditioning engineer will give you a wonderful scheme. A firefighting engineer will give you a wonderful scheme. But each one of them will think only about themselves. They will go and put a fire pump in your lobby, which you can't accept. So you have to tell him, no, you can't put a fire pump in my lobby, put it somewhere else. So that's why, the part that we have ill-trained, I should say, most architects are not trained, and they are not also attuned. Is frankly, with the like human resource, handling of human resource issues. Okay, like yes, you worked as a team, you know the team workers very well, you know all of them and all that. But as an organization, if you are employing them, what are their expectations? How do you meet the statutory regulations, like your PF and this and that and all sorts of stuff. And today there are so many rules and regulations which we don't even know about. How do you know what leave is encashable, what leave is not encashable? Actually, all this we have no idea at all. I still don't have an idea. So this human involvement, I mean the human side of this architectural side, the employees, is then you have to appoint somebody. But appointing a human resource manager is not the same as the head knowing what the requirements are. Human resource manager is also coming and doing a job. So for him rules count. But for us, rules don't count. We have a human touch with that person. We know how valuable that person is. You are working with a team. The team is valuable. So you need to be positive to the team all the time. Whereas this person, he'll go with the book and he'll throw the book at their head and they will not be, their enthusiasm will not be there. So that's one side of the picture. The second side of the picture is financially again. I don't think architects have such a great idea about finances in terms of, how do you get payment from the contractor, at what stage you claim. There are of course rules and regulations and the agreements are there and everything is there. But whether it's being done in time, whether we do it, whether we get all the payment invoices, payment back, or we lost some things, we have no idea at all. So you finally struggle. I at least that's my experience. So you can't depend on somebody, you can't do it yourself, but you must know the regulations reasonably good enough. So you get into. It's a problem. On top of that, today regulations also become very difficult. I just remember a couple of days back, some GST notice I got. That's something you have not done paid GST and all that, and the end of it says GST or some other tax, I don't remember. The end of it says the penalty is you can be put behind bars, something like that. So then when I asked somebody, the big hullabaloo, what is this going on and all that, then it was done, but that fellow didn't take cognizance of it, so therefore it was explained to them, and then they said okay, they withdrew it. But this kind of thing throws you out of gear. There are so many regulations that you have to follow today, which I have no aptitude for that, and I'm visibly out of touch in this.
As we were talking about building industries and sports facilities and all that, what are the challenges in handling large-scale projects? And that too, you were pioneering a lot of new projects.
See, large-scale project, I'll give one or two examples. I mean, I can talk a lot about the large-scale projects, but I just limited to a couple of things. See, the Nehru Stadium I was mentioning, it's a completely precast construction because the completion time was very limited and there is a deadline. Very hard deadline was there and we had to finish it. There is no way we could do conventional system, because conventional system would have meant some 5,000 labor or 2,000 labor, and depending on 5,000 labor and all that is not practical, because some festival season will come, they will disappear. So harvesting time will come, they will disappear. So you can't do that. So the choice was only to go for precast. And such a large stadium we have not designed before at all. I don't think many people would have also designed it. So it's almost like you're learning on the job for the first time. You have to be very sensitive to what is the technical requirement. For instance, media fellow will come and ask something. So you must be adaptive enough to understand what does a media look for. For instance, in Nehru Stadium, we had provided for translation, like simultaneous translation also. Because of when foreign people come, some announcements and all that, they have to be this thing. So simultaneous translation or facility is also there. Then broadcasting. That all this is a major inputs that have to go into your design planning stage. So this is one. The largeness of the project is, large projects require you to have no surprises. The first lesson is, if you have a surprise coming up at you in a large project, you may as well forget about the project. So you must think through the project thoroughly, and therefore lot of team effort is required in the beginning. The whole team sits on the drawings. You have electrical guy, you have plumbing, you have firefighting guy, you have everybody, and they all work in silos. They don't know how to talk to other people. So it's the architect who has to bring all of them together, and probing questions you have to ask. You have to ask that firefighting fellow 100 questions before you get your one answer. That answer won't come by itself. The architect has to compile all this and then put it in his drawing, put it in his specification, put it in his scheme of things, and then we compile all the documents together. We do a coordinated drawing. That's where all the BIM and all that comes in very handy now. Today everybody works on a BIM. So if I make a change in my door plan, everybody will know immediately that I made a change in the plan. Some door has got shifted or some light switch got shifted. So they do their own work immediately. They know the thing. But earlier, if I send architectural drawing showing that my door is shifted, he won't even know which door, where it is shifted, and he will ignore it. So your door will be here, the switch point will be there. So things like that will happen. So that's why this integrated drawing preparation is very crucial for them. So coordination in the production of drawings is very, very crucial. If your drawings are not coordinated, there will be a lot of confusion. The third is, of course, you have to choose an agency who will execute according to your plan. That's again a very tough challenge. Fortunately for us, in Nehru Stadium, we had L&T doing the project. They are very well organized, very good engineering firm. They understood engineering requirements very clearly. But even then, we had to sit with them a lot to explicitly make them understand what is the speciality about the whole thing. What are things to be done? So that way, a lot of the architect has to go out of his conventional role and play a number of wear number of caps. You have to wear number of caps to do this. That's a challenge in this big projects, which young architects will not have. Young architects do not get, they come straight out of college, they start a practice. They know they are not exposed. I don't blame them, but they have a glorified idea of practice that you can go and win the world, but you can't win the world on day one. So it requires hard work. It requires sustainability. You have to stay together and face the challenges. So and learn a lot. So I mean, in fact, in countries like Germany, for instance, if you pass out from the school, you can't practice for 7 years or 5 years or some period is there. You have to work with somebody, you have to take a lot of other exams, then only you become fit to be an architect. Whereas we don't, we just come out of the college and we are architects. So they are that way, these are some of the things. And so this organization is very crucial. For a large project, how well you are organized is a crucial thing. You are organized in drawings, organized in specifications, organized in contracting. It could be one single contractor, it could be multiple contractors, it could be coordinated by the project manager, but you have to interact with the project manager. The client will come, you have to answer the clients, you have to accept their changes, and changes will come. So you have to manage all this, so you have to completely do a multiple role. See, going green is not become a matter of choice. Going green is becoming a mandatory thing now, because after all, building industry, we are thinking of some house or some office or something like that, school building or university. But if you look at it as a country, the extent of building that we are doing today, and the extent of buildings that we have to do yet. See, India is going to become a third greatest economic power, and people have estimated that we have to grow in terms of built spaces. We have built only about 30% of our requirement. When we reach that third rank globally, we have to put up twice more than what we have today in terms of built space, twice more, and it has to be done fairly fast, otherwise you will have continuous confusion that we have. That requires a lot of skills in urban development, skills in land planning, skills in services, it requires tremendous amount of skills, transportability, hub, health issues, and then handling water, rain, all this is a very important thing. How do you supply water, drinking water to all these people as they grow, as they urbanize, which we are doing at a very frantic rate. So these are all huge challenges, which is much more beyond any one. No one person can solve this issue. Now, what can solve this issue is, if an architect thinks that he can help, he cannot solve, but he can help the solution, that's a crucial first step. So why should I think that I can help? I can help. For instance, you take a simple thing like roof, for instance. See, we build in cities high density. You have lot of roofs. We put a roof, and the roof reflects sun, and the reflect of sun forms a local heat island, and therefore it makes the conditions inside much worse. So you build for comfort, but you are actually denying the comfort, because I have built a house. It's not just I, the whole colony has come up. The whole colony has contributed to this heat island effect. You have hard road pavements, hard paved roads, you have less greenery, so that place becomes unlivable due to heat island. Now, as an architect, you have a solution. You can do a reflective roof. If you do a reflective roof, then most of the heat energy gets reflected off, so you are safe. Then pollution, water pollution, air pollution, these are all things that we think that we are not doing it, but we are actually creating a lot of pollution. I take an old car go from here to, say, some other T Nagar, for instance. How much of air I pollute, due to bad exhaust that are inefficient and so on, and what pollution it does to the air. India has some of the worst polluted rivers in the world. It has some of the worst air polluted cities in the world. We are very high on all these things. And how does it happen? If architects take care of one small part of the building, their buildings and roads, then transport authorities take care that cars are reduced and public transport is increased. So, and you stop using fossil fuel, use electric or use whatever alternative means, solar or something. If everybody transforms like this, then you have a chance of making the planet more livable. Otherwise, day by day we are making it worse. The amount of waste that we generate, unnecessarily construction waste, forget all the food waste or whatever, construction waste. See, we did some project, some European fellow came, they were from France. Now, he saw the amount of debris lying on the site. He was shocked. He says, in France we never have so much of kuppe around our house, all construction rubbish. He says, you have enough wasted materials lying around the site, you can build the same project once over. So much of work is there. The broken bricks are lying all over the place, the waste cement is lying all over the place, cut bars are lying all over the place, and rotten shuttering is lying all over the place. So he says, why are you people wasting this much of time? I mean, what does the government bother the builders to say that you put less waste on this? And where does all this waste go? They go and dump it somewhere on a waterway. That waterway gets blocked, then you have floods. So we don't realize that what all waste can do. But how can an architect do the waste reduction? He can be very specific in specifying his products, so that, for instance, some of the items can be prefabricated, can be made to measure. You don't waste much. For instance, I found that some of the precast buildings, actually we are now doing a precast stadium in IIT Madras. Everything is precast. The best benefit was they did a construction waste calculation. In precast, you waste nothing at all, because this concrete is produced in a factory that produces the beams and columns and all that. It is come and assembled. So in site, you don't have falling concrete. Whereas in real construction, what it does is he orders an RMC machine. RMC machine comes with, say, 6 cubic meters. It pumps 4 cubic meters. He has charged you fully. That balance 2 cubic meters he has nowhere to show. So on the way, he will dump it somewhere on the road and go away. That road will get hardened cement concrete lying there for our next generation. Then somebody like Cyrus Mistry will come and hit that thing and die. This is what happens, So construction waste is a huge waste in India. How much energy goes to make that cement? Well, where is it gone? Is it accountable? Builders have to be much more educated in preventing waste, in using materials. See, another important thing is what you call a life cycle analysis of building. Both architects and builders have to take care of life cycle analysis. That is, if I buy a product, how much of energy, embedded energy is there? See, worst is cement and steel. To make cement, you spend so much of energy, burn so much of lime, you burn so much of this thing, fuel, and all that is adding up to the carbon footprint, and you use it. Steel is another case. So a lot of research is going on making a carbon-free cement thing. You don't have waste carbon at all. And so that, a lot of things will change. I think in another 20 years, we will be able to work with materials which are very good. See, for instance, bamboo, for instance. Bamboo is such a wonderful material. Why we are not using bamboo in modern houses? Bamboo is renewable. You cut a bamboo forest, you use it for construction. Within 2 years, that bamboo will grow back. Bamboo will grow so fast, it will is renewable. But do we have good flooring tiles, for instance, bamboo flooring tiles, or bamboo wall tiles, or bamboo door frames? Nothing. But in research lab, they found reinforcement with bamboo, some specific bamboo, which can actually replace steel. See, these are all advanced research. Why that advanced research can be hastened and brought into reality? For instance, another thing is bamboo. Somebody has grown a special species of bamboo. In fact, in Hosur, he has done a research. He's found that one bamboo will absorb carbon and leave oxygen and neutralize 3% output of carbon. Okay, 3 individuals. So supposing 3 of us are constantly outputting carbon, one bamboo tree can take care of can compensate all of this thing. So, it's remarkable.
Even it's absorbed toxic also,
Huh?
Even it absorbs toxic air.
Everything, toxic, it's waste, and it doesn't require any maintenance, it grows by itself, renewable. You cut the bamboo in another 2 years, 3 years, it grows back. So, you're not really doing anything. You don't require a huge dam, put water and then irrigate rice. Rice, the way we produce rice is another criminal thing. How much of water is wasted on the rice production? At least some waterless rice if somebody finds out. It's like asking a doctor. See, doctors, when they come out, they will be able to treat whole body. Of course, later, they become specialists in right ear, one doctor, left ear is another doctor. Today it's become so bad that, but thing is, architects are basically generalists. You are able to handle, you must be able to handle. And I don't think there are specialized architects, very few maybe, who does only stadium projects, he doesn't do anything else, or he will do only urban design, nothing else. And I think the variety actually is enjoyable if you do more projects. For his own career and his own interest, you do more projects, you feel
More lively.
yeah, more life in it. Different challenges, different things.
Now, how you adopt? Do you have to learn everything? See, like
Adopt,
inventing the wheel again.
as
So
I
that's
said,
what I'm-
adaptability
that's what
and willingness to learn and talk to people, understand. That's very crucial for us. How things work is very crucial. No, but each one has a, see, for instance, medical facilities are very tough because you have multiple doctors. Doctors have their own private views. They say, I work like this, I want like that. Another doctor say, no, that's not my style. So you have to match these things. And each type is different. But you have to, the challenge, that's the challenge, like you have to, basically you have to solve problems in a creative way. It's a problem solving in a creative way without losing touch with the environment and people and so on. And ultimately you are building for happiness of a person who occupies the building. You want that happiness quotient to be high. Health and happiness quotient to be high. That's the whole principle of design. Not just to be creating a pretty picture, much more than that. You must do this. Yeah, college, definitely there is a lot of learning in college. But that learning is only a fraction of what when you get to do a work, you find that you will have to acquire more skills, more understanding of things and so on. So many architects fail because they are good at one part of the whole process. The remaining part of the process they are unfamiliar. Therefore, they tend to either ignore it or they tend to make mistakes or they depend on wrong people. Something or other happens and the end experience is not good. It may be unprofitable also. So that is perhaps when they quit. Some, couple of years of working somewhere definitely will help. And you must be also lucky. It's not just work anywhere. If you work with the right environment, it gives you a lot of opportunity to learn. The amount of learning is very crucial. What atmosphere you have to learn. See, I'll give a small story. I was once in Singapore, about 8-9 years back. I went for a short trip, some business trip. Walking back from that work back to my hotel, and then somebody tapped me on the back. It was a girl. She's a self-made architect. Like she studied diploma and then passed that IA exam, and then she became an architect. But she's very good in the work. So she worked with us for a long time. Then her husband moved to Singapore. She also moved to Singapore, and then there she was there for about 7-8 years and so on. So she was tapping me on the back and said, "I'm surprised to see you. Say, when did you come?" Then we had chatted for a while. Then she asked me, "Are you here tomorrow also?" I said, "Yes, tomorrow also." So he said, "Tomorrow, can you come to some place?" So she gave me a place, and at 8 o'clock or something in the evening. I said, "For what?" I said, "I won't tell you. Come at 8 o'clock to this place." So, okay, I said, "If you wanted to be surprised, let it be surprised." So next evening, I went at 8 o'clock. She had assembled 8 people, apart from herself, totally 9 people, all who worked here in our office, all have gone to Singapore, taken permanent jobs there, permanent residence. And each one of them doing extremely well in their own field. One person became a landscape architect. I mean, this lady, in fact, the lady who worked here, went on and she was taken by a landscape architect, some British firm, which is a very leading firm and so on. And so a couple of people have joined the government of Singapore. Their PWD. Their PWD is very progressive. They do private work and so on. So they're very, very progressive and so on. So like that, everybody is very well settled and so on. And So they're all saying that we had good opportunity to learn in your office. When we worked there, we learned a lot, and that's helping us now. So that is a good compliment that I thought. They're very happy that they worked for. Each one of them must have worked for about 5 or 6 years in our office. That laid a good foundation. And,
yes, truly.
so I think about 3-4 years at least they must work some in good opportunity. They must look for some. And again, of course, it's easy to say. When they join an office, they should not look only at the salary or pay slip and all that. They must also look what quality of experience they'll get in that office. That they must examine. Of course, it's easy to say that, but it is so dependent on the income, then it's wrong advice. But if they have their parents and whatever supporting them and all that, and this is only a not a crucial thing for living, then they must look for some good experience and join. See, actually, I'm also, despite my being what age I am, I work with a lot of digital tools, some sketching tools which are very good, like you have to make initial concept sketches, or you have to give some details to site. I carry this iPad, it's got that software, I do this Morpholio I have, and I work on it and use it very much. But I frankly think, maybe old fashioned, whatever it is, an architect thinks in his mind and he expresses through his hand sketching. So if hand, the coordination or whatever transmission of ideas is not there, I think unless you sketch and sketch to scale, when you sketch, you must to scale. That's very, very crucial for an architect to do. And and it becomes involuntary. Like if you tell me something, I immediately must take a pencil and start sketching to you, no matter what. That's a habit that many architects don't get. They think the machine will do it, but when you draw a line, you get a feeling of a line. You draw a square, it's good. But this just mechanically, you can draw a square easily. Just to few clicks, you get a square. You make it bigger, make it smaller, make it change the color, change the line thickness, fill it, rotate it, whatever it is you can do. But it's not same as what you draw. And then you get a sensation of this square, and if you assemble it in some way, what is the shape that comes? What is the thing you get? That's important. You can use it to help you, but you can't use it to decide for you. That hand is important. That's I feel very strongly.
Yes.
In fact, many architects have seen, they'll start asking question. I said, don't ask question, make a sketch and tell me what you want. Make a sketch first. So, they must make a sketch. If you don't have the sketching habit, it's slowly getting lost, unfortunately, I find. Maybe I'm wrong, but actually, if you go by all the statistics that we come across, the architects are required. The cold statistics, like in some Western countries, you have so many architects per 1,000 people. Typically, they come up with how many doctors for 1,000 people, how many engineers, like that. If you see like that, India has very low capacity. So, if for a developed country, India will become a developed country soon, we require much more architects. The second, again statistically proven thing is, India requires more than double this building stock that we have today. It requires more than double. Transportation, education, health, and administration, and all that. Entertainment. Entertainment is becoming a big thing. So people build a lot of. So like this, a lot of opportunities to build is there. So this is another factor. So architects have a tremendous scope. Even if whatever they project is not going to happen, even if half of what they project happens, still a big. And India is a big country. It's not some small New Zealand where population itself is so low that and all of them have good houses. So where is there to build opportunity? Is not there. But India is not like that, and many cities have to be built, and so on. That way opportunity is there, but the See, a lot of luck is also involved in this. The opportunity must come your way. See, if opportunity does come in your way, then you are difficult. You can't do anything. For that, knowing people and doing a good project and getting it published and so on, slowly get to be known about some things, or if you are passionate about, say, sustainable buildings, so do some sustainable things and talk about it, and then get to be known as a sustainability expert. So these are preparatory things that you have to do. And unfortunately, society is also becoming very tough, very competitive, and very they evaluate very roughly. I mean, many people I've seen, they decide on the caliber of a person by look of that person, which is very incorrect, yes. So these things are human trails, but you can't. But the opportunity is there, and if somebody is willing to learn, that's a crucial thing. Willing to learn. If you ask me what I didn't do, I wish I traveled a lot more.
Okay.
I wish I traveled a lot. For instance, in India itself, you can travel more. You travel in Tamil Nadu, you see so much in Tamil Nadu. We hardly done that, You hardly go to any place, and unless the work takes you there, you don't go there. Each place has a flavor. We need to understand that flavor. That we don't. Each state has a flavor. It's okay once a year or once in 2 years you go on a holiday somewhere and stay for 3 days, 4 days somewhere and come back. But that's not the thing. So, thing is, it's easy to say, but travel is very important, a good leveler, I think. You must know how to adjust, how to live, learn about others, cultures, respect other cultures.